right, and we are back. We're in town, putting in some extra skill points. I cannot see my exact level at this point. I mean, I can if I were to touch the EXP bar, but because I'm watching an older recording, I'm not even entirely sure what level I am at this point. I would say whatever the area level is, I'm probably maybe 2 points above or so. At this point, currently, though, I am looking for what it is I want to put a skill point or more into, and I'm trying to figure out which path I'm going to go based off of what it is I want to use. Like I said, I'm planning for this to be a minion based build, and I'm using my zombies as minions. As you can see, when you open up your map to see the other potential quests that you have and it places on where you need to go, touching the individual quests in your general map is going to have a trail highlighting where it is you need to go to. So right now I'm following the spirit flame and the way forward, and I'm just slowly making my way through that way. Uh, I have this little blue orb spinning around me, which would be the arcane surge. So you get to actually see it on me physically as I'm fighting, but also in the top left of my passives too. As you can see, I'm keeping my zombies up pretty much 100% of the time, or at the very least, I am trying to. They slowly follow behind me, and whatever zombies that actually make kills to the enemies I'm fighting, they will summon even more summons that will help me. So if my zombies are actually getting the kills and I'm not, it will create essentially even more helpers to help me clear everything up a little quicker. I, however, am using my spark to help cut down enemies as well, rather than just solely relying on my zombies, because right now they are not strong enough to kill things on their own in a reliable speed. So that is why I am also using spark, and I also don't have enough mana regen um, to keep like my skills just constantly firing back to back to back to back. Mana regen basically just being mana regeneration, meaning that pretty much every time I use my skills, I have to end up using a mana potion or hoping that I level up quickly so that I can get my mana back to continue using them. As you level up, you will get access to more gear and obviously more skill points, and you can use all this stuff to help you in the long haul. Um, some side things is uh, certain points of the passive tree that give you extra dexterity, strength, or intelligence. Um, these base stats also add things to your overall playstyle. Because I'm running intelligence. Intelligence gives me more mana, and I believe it also gives me more energy shield by default. So the more intelligence I have, the more mana I will have, and that helps with keeping zombies up and using spark a little bit more often, which essentially is what I'm doing. You can see in the top left, I have a cross passive that's up right now. I also have a cross over my head. This most likely comes from a shrine. If you've never seen shrines in games like these, they are just basically statues that you can interact with. And when you do, you get a temporary buff that you can use while you play. That more health one more than likely made it so that I healed a little quicker, but personally, I just do not remember. Um, Sometimes when I use my speed potion, you will see a little white orb circle around me. So if I didn't want to pay attention to the top left, then just looking at my character, I can tell that I'm moving a little quicker. I just killed a boss, basically. You will run into that boss if you are actually exploring this general area. And from this point forward, we just continue to cut down pretty much everything that comes at us. And the game plan for me is to get as much EXP as possible so that I will be a higher level than the general area I'm in. Uh, as you probably saw when I put my overlay map on in the top right corner, the monster level was 6. I would say by this point I'm probably level 8, but whenever we complete these quests that give us free skill points, that is like stacking on an extra skill point on top of my actual level. So even though I'm a level 8, these skill points would probably have made me like a level 9, level 10, which just gives me a one up on whatever it is I am fighting. As you can see, a lot of the enemies here, especially from the beginning of the story, have been using fire. Pretty much every enemy except for the group that we ran into in the cave, they were using ice. And really, it was more so like water, but water isn't really an element that you can protect yourself against in this game. So they consider it ice, and ice is really just cold. So you have cold, you have fire, you have lightning, and you have chaos. You technically also have bleed, but really it's just cold, fire, lightning, and chaos. Right now we're fighting a lot of enemies with fire. When we were in a cave, we were fighting a lot of enemies with cold. The boss for the end of Act 1, which is what we're in right now, it's kind of like Chapter 1 of the game, where you do tutorial and you run into a bunch of stuff. The boss at the end is a cold based boss. So having gear that comes with cold resistance, which is basically like defense against cold damage, will help you more when it comes to fighting those bosses. As you can see here, I probably stepped away, but I have some stuff in my inventory that I am more likely than not, I am going to be looking through to see what I can equip and what I can actually use. I have two of those charts from the League mechanic, which when I auto deposit them into my stash, they will automatically end up in the stash where the League mechanic is stored. All of the currency I have is going to be tossed into the currency stash that I have in my inventory. I have a unique ring. I can tell just from the look of it because of how long I've been playing the game, but it's in the bottom left of my inventory in between my currency. That's most likely going to go into my unique tab. And then everything else I have in my inventory is gear that I most likely am going to see if I can either craft on or equip. Personally, I should be using a leak mechanic to help craft better gear, especially since I have the crafting materials like the orbs. But if we're being honest, um, during this campaign, I pretty much ignored the league mechanics completely. Like, as of recording this right now, I am not done with the campaign. I have been taking a break from the game to get some stuff done outside of the game. But from what I can remember, I touched the league mechanic very early in the beginning and then did not do much with it since then. I think I figured I would end up using it later on, but so far, I just still have not yet. And I will probably end up cutting up parts of this because it's clear that I stepped away, whether that was to use the bathroom, to get something to eat or drink, whatever the case may be. And I'm going to just cut to the next part where I am back. That way we can continue on rather than you sitting here watching me sit around in town all day. Okay, we are finally back and we are moving. So yeah, I'm just looking through my gear, excuse me, trying to decide, excuse me, what would be fun. This ring gives me endurance charges. An endurance charge is basically extra damage resistance, and I believe enduring cry is basically like a way to get enemies to charge me and focus me. So if I can hit enemies with a cry to make them charge me, and then give myself damage resistance while they're rushing me, I can have my zombies fight those enemies, and I don't have to, you know, worry about enemies like doing something weird, like running off or whatever the case may be. You also might have noticed that I swapped my shield out for a spirit shield, which is like a shield specifically meant for people who are fighting with spells and magic and being a mage and things of that sort. But 9 times out of 10, because I just skipped past it, chances are it helps with giving my minions more damage. And right now, that's my main focus is building damage. Um, because the more damage my minions do in a shorter amount of time, the easier it is going to be to push through content in campaign. And when I feel like I'm just getting smacked around too much, then I'll start building a little bit more in defenses and resistances. But right now, I'm just going all out in damage. And once again, I'm standing still. So I'm probably looking some stuff up just to make sure that I completely understand what's going on. Um, it was probably Enduring Cry. I think my EXP bar said I was a level 10. We're on a League Mechanic ship again, the Sovereign. I'm pulling out one of my charts. I want to try the League Mechanic again. I didn't watch any videos on it, so this has just been me running it on and off, figuring out how to make it work. Um, my friend who hasn't played this league yet was asking me about how it feels and how different is the mechanic and all of these things. And I was like, well, I've never watched the videos on how they work. I did not want to be spoiled by too much of anything because I wanted it to be like a fresh kind of walkthrough in it. And it took me dying like 3 to 4 times to the league mechanic to actually understand that, I need to get in and get out once I've dropped my last lantern. But here we are, you know? So I'm walking to the edge of the bubbles, and whenever I start reaching water, I put the lantern down so I don't die in the water. The lantern protects me, and I just rinse and repeat and keep going. Um, so as you can see here, my zombies are ganging up on enemies. They're kind of pulling the attention of enemies away from me. Usually in games, people refer to that as aggro, like the aggressiveness of enemies. My zombies are pulling that aggressiveness away from me so that the enemies will focus them, which will keep me alive a little bit longer. And even when that doesn't work, like against that enemy, um, my zombies will be beating that enemy while I'm kiting that enemy, hitting them and running away so that I don't die and we kill the enemy. And that was a rare enemy, so they got yellow names. They have more EXP. I level up. I only leave with 2 pieces of gear, but I finished some challenges, which are those 2 things in the bottom right. Put a skill point in and decide to run another chart now that I'm understanding what it is I need to do. Valerie also acts as a shop where you can sell things. So I sell my gear, I put in another chart, and we're back to it. And I feel like this is pretty self-explanatory after a few runs and tries, but as you can see, yeah, we kill, put the lantern down, keep moving, and then just rinse and repeat. There's a yellow enemy there. There's a bunch of other enemies there. If the enemies outnumber my zombies would die if I didn't help them fight. My skills level up. I level up all of them. I summon my zombies from the corpses of enemies we killed, and then I rinse and repeat. And this is essentially my bread and butter for the entire playtime. Touch these chests, get new gear, kill these enemies, turn their bodies into zombies, which they're not like zombies specifically based off the enemies I've killed, though there is like a skill for that, I believe. This is not that skill. This skill quite literally just creates zombies. And my zombies get a few kills, so my zombies summon these projectile based type of zombies, and uh, they increase my following. So the more enemies I take out, the better I am. As you can see, I planted my last lantern, I opened my overlay, I used my speed potion to get a move on, and I used my teleport, which would be my frost blink, in order to cover more distance. Each lantern slowly closes over time, so while they are closing, I am sitting in the first one, getting some more EXP, fighting more enemies. I get onto the Sovereign. I sell gear that looks like it wouldn't be useful for what it is I'm trying to use, and then I keep going from there. And once again, to kind of figure out what it is I specifically want, I'm looking for things that help towards minions. I'm looking for things that help with energy shield. You see, I just crafted on that when I should have used the like bottom deck of the Sovereign to like mix and match and see what would be the better craft. But instead of doing that, I just took an orb. I right clicked the orb, held shift, and then left click the item. The orbs usually have instructions on them, right? They will tell you, you know, right click this orb, then left click an item that's like this or like that, and it will do this or that. So as you saw, my helmet was white, which is a common. I took like an orb of, I think it was transmutation. I right clicked that orb. I left clicked the white helmet. It turned blue. And I equipped that and replaced my other helmet that I was using because the helmet I just crafted on had energy shield and I wanted more energy shield, and it even came with cold resistance. And I just keep pushing forward through there. Crafting can be pretty useful. I did it like real spur of the moment, right then and there. I'm sure I will be talking about it more because I'm sure that I did it a bit more in like some of the acts after this. There are plenty of videos and tutorials that talk about crafting and such that you can use to really tune in and chime in on it all. I will more than likely talk about it based off of how I touch it here. Okay, with that being said, we're back to the grind of getting things done. Another mechanic is coming up. This would be the, I believe, the Legion mechanic. It's a giant crystal, a monolith that sits in the map. You interact with it. It summons a bunch of enemies to fight. I believe the enemies that you kill are the ones you get to actually fight because they're all frozen in place like statues. So the statues you kill, I believe, are the ones that turn into real enemies, and then they drop gear and currency. There was another boss there, as you saw, rare, not a rare enemy, a unique enemy, because they had that orange name. I'm running past everything and making it to the next waypoint. And we will continue on with the walkthrough from Act 1 here.